Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 126. So just giving you an insight what we've got ahead for next week, and also comparing our analysis from last week as well. So we are going to start off with gold. So we're looking in for pretty much this dip, but basically the overall idea here is for price to pretty much push up. So we're vaguely starting to see something creep in. So towards the end of the week we had a nice push higher. We've got some important news this week, so I think what we could prepare ourselves for is this possible dip in price. So basically essentially just what we've got drawn here. And so my thinking is, if we can get this sort of rally to the upside, there could be more significant pushes and moves towards this, higher levels. So we could be looking at 260, 280, 200, to 100, sorry. And yeah, pretty much the idea that we're gonna move up higher. So that's my kind of thinking so far with gold. Pretty much is still same as last week, but we're still watching the 1760 level in case we go lower. In terms of EU, we're still looking at this kind of action. So we were looking at price to probably the drop lower. And so what I'm starting to notice now, there's a bit of a sell-off happening right here. So we're pretty much in line with this part. So if I was to kind of get rid of this now, and probably just stick to where we are here. So there are two things I'm looking out for. So we could get a rally towards the upside, or we could get price to completely flush out to the downside into 1.03. That's something that I'm keeping my mind open for. So whether we have like a push up higher and then a drop lower, or we just get that consistent move lower, that's something that I'm willing to kind of like take a risk on in terms of sales. But also just being mindful that there could be a rally towards the upside. So again, keeping both options clean. If we take a look at NU, so we started to look at this sell-off in price, so about fifth, so roughly around here. So we start to see some sort of sell-off in price. So we can probably get rid of this one. So again, looking at two scenarios here. So price could start to rally up higher now, back into 0.66, or we could have a temporary pullback in a way where it starts to take out 0.62. So whether this is a small pullback or a big one, we don't really know, but the overall move, it could be heading lower or it could head higher. So not entirely sure, but we just need to wait for some kind of confirmation and stick candles. But pretty much the way that price has been moving, it's quite interesting to see that we started to see that sell-off come in and gradually get closer to our target. So we are starting to see some kind of moves to the downside. So if we take a look into AU, we started to see that drop off in price too. So where was it? Fifth-ish. So decided a bit of a little pop up and then kind of a nice rally. So I probably will go ahead and get rid of this. And again, a similar kind of look is either a minor pullback in case we start to sell off even more into 0.68, or we'll start to have a little pop in price, so we have a bit more push down, and then we probably could look at 0.69, 0.7 to go higher. Potentially, I'm not entirely sure, but I want to look at 0.72 and 0.73 and see if we get any reaction from that really. But that's the kind of basis that I'm kind of going off with AU and pretty much all of the other US dollar pairs. So if we take a look into the Japanese yens now, so really what's been happening is price has just been pushing up higher and higher. If you excuse me a second. Sorry, just had to blow my nose, I got hay fever. But yeah, basically, what I've been trying to kind of get at with UJ is some sort of sell-off in price, but we've just been consistently pushing and pushing and pushing. So again, what I'm kind of curious to see again here is, you know, just moving this up ever so often, just pretty much the same annotations, but we're basically 50-50 here again, because essentially we could expect price to sell off dramatically, but again, we don't necessarily know when this is happening, because I've been looking at this sell-off for potentially for quite a long time now, and we've not really found any kind of part apart from here in mid-May, but we've pretty much easily recovered that. So to me, there is a possibility that we could push a little bit higher. It really depends if we start to break above 137 or 139 and 140 and above, but that's kind of like the levels that I'm pretty much looking at. And then we've got some levels here if we start to push up higher as well. So if we take a look into CJ, so the CAD Canadian dollar, sorry, CAD, yeah, Canadian dollar to Japanese yen. So what I'm looking at here is price for to do something like this, which again, it can be a very long shot, but what we could expect is some sort of recovery and then the continuation higher, because I think we could step up once more. So maybe something like this. Not entirely sure if price will come back this steep, but you know, pretty much the motion is we'll get some sort of pullback before we have the turnover. So obviously we have to see if we can break into 107 and 108 and then watch the reaction, because what could happen is price could just rapidly push higher, but we have to see here if we're going to get a reaction and then push down, or if we get that, you know, massive continuation play. So that's my thoughts for CJ. If we take a look with EJ, again, it's a similar process, probably looking out for a little bit of a dip. So maybe, you know, as prices started to sell off already, we could possibly see a move lower, following on from last week, and then we could probably expect a rise in the market, so following up higher, potentially into 144, 145, 146. So again, we don't necessarily know how it's going to react, but we could expect some sort of sell-off coming to one of these levels soon. But this is the kind of play that I'm thinking on for the time being, anyway, for this week. And finally for AJ, similar process again. If we move this along, just could draw something new actually. So we could expect again a little bit of a dip in price, and then, you know, expect some degree of a turnover. You know, not necessarily sure where the pullback is going to be, but you know, essentially the idea is that we could expect the highs of 97, 98 to be taken out, like so. So we just need to wait again to see if it's possible that we could expect this, really. So yeah, if we take a look now into the last two USD pairs, so we've got USD Swiss Franc. So this one was quite a nice one actually, fifth, yeah. So pretty much a nice spark up. So what I'm looking at for this week for USD Swiss Franc is either a potential sell-off now, or which I think could possibly happen. Let me get rid of this. Oh, let me use the other one. Or we'll get a sell-off back into 95 or 94, or we'll get price to make some sort of significant push lower, have an intermediate pullback, and then we can get those. Then we can get these continuation plays higher, potentially to take into 1.01 sort of thing, and higher. And finally for USD CAD, so nicely playing out. What we can see is a rally to the upside. So where was it? The fifth. So pretty much a lovely turnover actually. And so what I'm expecting with this, or looking for this, is pretty much some sort of push to the highs, potentially into 131. And then so could look something like this. So with that being said, we could look at, we could expect some sort of minor pullback here so we can get like a little pullback, so maybe at 127, 126, and then go high. But I'll just leave this as it's annotated like so, and then we can pretty much play about with it and see what kind of basis it wants to go with. But ultimately, kind of like looking at this route so far. But yeah, in terms of this week, we do have quite a few impactful news. So I'd suggest to kind of keep aware of those times and dates, because there's going to be a lot of fluctuations coming involved. So definitely avoid trading around those times. But that's pretty much all I've got for this week. Obviously, if you did find this video helpful, make sure you subscribe, leave this video a like, and we shall see you all next week.